Hey heroes, today we're looking at Prison City, a game developed by Programmancer and provided to me by Retroware. I had no knowledge of this game prior, but I couldn't help but sink my teeth into its retro platforming and catchy music. Let's get started. You play as Hal Bruiser, a man of few words, but with an abundance of professional experience. He's hired to enter the walled-off Prison City to defeat the techno-terrorist wardens that control each district and destabilize the army of criminals they have amassed. After a brief intro stage to break into the city, you are free to tackle 8 themed stages in any order that you'd like. However, it's not as easy as getting from point A to B, as you can't just make a beeline to the boss room. Hal must locate a special contact in each area that will grant him access to fight a warden. That means that stages are not quite linear, and also not quite large enough in most cases to be considered open-ended. It gives a brief taste of exploring to find optimal routes to each contact, the boss door, or even the occasional secret without overcomplicating the game, with exception for one heck of a lengthy final stage. While I understand this concept is heavily inspired by other games such as Power Blade, it doesn't pop up often in 2D platformers. So I enjoyed the mission flow more than I thought I would. But how does Hal traverse stages and destroy foes? Why, by wielding an energy chakram! Hal tosses the chakram to attack mostly at mid-range. It can be thrown in 8 directions, or arced to hit out-of-reach targets. The overall damage is satisfactory, but be careful, because spamming the chakram too fast will decrease its overall power. Instead, increase damage output by attacking with a stable rhythm as to not drain your attack power too quickly. But if you're stubborn, the chakram can be powered up. Picking up 3 of a special collectible will power up the chakram to deal 2 times damage, allow it to pass through walls, and finally increase its overall size. This upgrade also stays with you between stages. On my second playthrough, I was able to keep it through several bosses. But beware, get hit 3 times and it's back to your basic chakram. Overall, the chakram can be a goofy looking weapon, but it does the job when striking the balance for both close range and long range combat. There are other power-ups, such as the occasional grenade to act as a screen nuke, or an invincibility shield perfect for rushing past enemies and hazards. But these resources are usually limited. Instead, you'll be doing a lot of platforming, sliding, grabbing ledges, and climbing on background objects to get around. Performing all of these actions make relatively small stages feel somewhat dense, and at least to me, appears to combine some of my favorite gameplay elements from other games. My only gripe in this department is that movement occasionally feels a tad too tight. For example, I wish I could jump after performing a sliding action, but I'm sure being locked into a slide was intentional to encourage careful consideration of the mechanics. The good news is that with precise timing, you can jump out of a slide when sliding off of an edge for greater jumping distances. The game even teaches you this advanced technique in the tutorial. Overall, Prison City surprised me. The game is short enough for multiple playthroughs and has plenty of difficulty and customizability options to suit your needs. And for an extra challenge, take on the boss rush, or replay the game again in the unlockable bomber mode to switch up the rules. Instead of locating specific contacts, you'll be placing multiple explosives across stages before taking on the warden boss. So, if you enjoy classic games from the glory days of the NES, or you feel like you missed the boat from that era, Prison City is a satisfying throwback to dip your toes into. I hope that you heroes have a wonderful week, and I will see you next transmission.